Hey there, Neely Salem here with another spiritual thought about Shabbat. In the last video, we were discussing the laws of Shabbat and how we learned them from the things that we used to do while building this thing called the Mishkan, the desert sanctuary. So I want to just share with you what this Mishkan was, and it will help us understand and build a foundation for the next video, which is understand the correlation between why we can't do things on Shabbat and this desert sanctuary. So first, let's dive into what was this desert sanctuary. So first of all, the word in Hebrew is Mishkan. I learned from my teacher, Leah Golam, that the word Mishkan is actually a combination of two words, makom and shechina. So makom means the place of, and shechina is the divine feminine presence. So this is where this sanctuary in the desert was the place where the divine feminine presence had a makom. It had a place to rest amongst the people. So there's other words for it in our tradition. One of them is called the Ohel Moed, or the tent of appointment. Okay, also it's called in English, which is a funny word, the tabernacle. So if you've ever heard the word the tabernacle, it's referring to this Mishkan, this tent of meeting, or this tent of appointment. So there's that. Now, what was in this Mishkan? So things that you actually recognize. They had a menorah, a bright illuminating candelabra that was intended to symbolize our purpose to light up the world. It had an incense altar, because we're cool like that. It had an animal sacrifice altar. Don't ask me about that one. Had a bread altar. But in the innermost sanctum of this large tent sanctuary was this place that was sanctioned off by curtains called the Kodesh Kedoshim, the Holy of Holies. So what was in this Holy of Holies, ooh, intriguing. Well, what was inside of it was the Holy Ark. Have you ever heard of Raiders of the Lost Ark, like Indiana Jones? That's all about the Lost Ark from the biblical story, this Ark that was in the Holy of Holies. So what is an Ark anyways? Well, what it was this golden box with two angel wings on top of it. You may have seen it in some biblical imagery. So, okay, great. We have a golden box with angels. What is it, like a statue, an idol? No. What was relevant about it was what was inside of the inside. There was a few things in there, but primarily what was in there was the 10 Commandments. These God-given gifts from God that were going to help us live a civilized and moral, caring, respectful world. Well, it's not just that the whole tablets were in there, but the broken tablets were in there too, which is really beautiful meaning, because my teacher, Leah Golam, also taught me that God thinks that the holiest of holy is also all of your broken places. It's not just where you're whole and sanctified that you're, holy. It's all of our broken places are the holy of holies too. So let's just do a rewind, zoom out. In the center of this desert sanctuary were the 10 Commandments and the broken 10 Commandments. Those were encased in a golden box with angels' wings, where the Shekhinah, that divine feminine presence, remember the Makom Shekhinah channeled through. Outside of the box were this curtain sanctified, cut off area called the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh Kodeshim. Outside of that was the menorah and all the different altars I was telling you about, and that was encompassed by curtains and beams as well, and that whole thing made up the desert sanctuary. Now, one of the fascinating things about this Mishkan, this desert sanctuary, is that it was portable. So the Levites were instructed when and how to take it down and put it back up. So every time the Jews traveled through the desert, they took it down and they put it back up. And it was no easy job. Another cool fun fact, by the way, is that the outer curtains of the Mishkan were made of unicorn skin. Check that. Gemara Shabbat 28a, if you want to look it up. So that's pretty cool. But okay, so this Mishkan didn't just travel with us through the 40 years in the desert. It was also taken into the land of Israel. By that time, leadership had passed from Moses to Joshua, and they took it in, and it was in the land of Israel for hundreds of years as this sort of desert, temporary, portable sanctuary. But where did it go? What did it become? Well, this was the foundation of the temples. The temples in Jerusalem, the ones we're praying for the third one because the first two were destroyed. If you don't know where they were, that's why you go to the Kotel. The Kotel was the outermost wall of the temple. And so we're not actually going to Jerusalem to pray to a wall. It's just the remnant of this special temple, which was the permanent issue of this desert sanctuary. And one of the most beautiful things about this encampment is that it was the center of our people. This holiness, these guides to being moral and being proper, good humans, this sat at the center of 3 million Jews encamped in the desert for 40 years, and that's really symbolic because holiness and morality are meant to be the center of our lives. And finally, one of the most special things about this Mishkan is that in Exodus 25:1-9, God says, Asuli mikdash v'shochanti betocham, which means make for me a sanctuary. And he doesn't say I'll dwell in it, but I'll dwell in you. I'll dwell in the people. That when you carve out space and time for holiness, morality, kindness, that's where God can dwell with us. And that's why, again, it's called the Makom Shechina, the Mishkan, the place where the divine feminine presence feels happy, comfortable, safe, and delighted to dwell, both in the sanctuary and in our hearts. So that is the Mishkan, this tabernacle, Ohel Moed, desert portable sanctuary which became the temples. And now in the next video we're going to find out why the labor that we had to do to put up and take down this Mishkan has anything to do with the rules and laws of what we do not do on Shabbat. Thanks for listening.